how can we make the story greater with the principles of someone's past?
Yeah.
And that's how we build success. We build success by learning the goodness of our peers and our ancestors and applying ourselves to be a better version of them.
Welcome to the 200% Life Podcast, Season 3. We're in the middle of it. And today we have a treat for you. But before we do that, don't forget to rate, subscribe, like all of our platforms, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, the whole nine. Play it in your parties, play it everywhere, because this is good stuff. And today is no doubt that we're going to have an amazing conversation. I have today one of my dear friends and mentor. I mean, you could call ton of stuff because he's taught me a lot, and I wanted to share this with you. This is a gift for you, all of our viewers around the world. Mr. Jerry Lopez, entrepreneur. I don't even know where to start. I'll let you do that. But entrepreneur, just the definition of entrepreneur. Mr. Jerry Lopez, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. I love the shirt. We're going to talk a little bit about...
To the moon.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that. But let's start with just an introduction, because I think you can do this better than I can. Who is Jerry Lopez?
Well, first of all, Puerto Rico. Come from the mountains of the island of Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Spent my early childhood there.
Mm-hmm.
Moved to the United States, meaning the mainland, to Chicago when I was 8. And I spent most of my middle childhood and my teens there. And then from there, we've been pretty much everywhere around the world except where I can remember. But that's pretty much the beginning stages of where I come from. And, very happy to be able to share a little bit about that with everyone here.
I love the mountains of Puerto Rico. And I was fortunate enough you actually took me there
a
couple of years ago. What part of Puerto Rico is that?
That's in Bayamón. The upper mountain area. It's I say that is the closest part to heaven in Puerto Rico because it's like 3,000 feet from the sea level, right?
I remember we went up.
Yeah,
we went up the mountain. Yeah.
So it's a nice place to be. Sometimes you take for granted, right? Those moments where you're just running around without shoes and no worries. Pitch black at 5:30 in the afternoon.
Yep.
Because there's no light poles around, right?
Right.
But every time I go back quite often just to remember to not forget where you come from.
No, it was an incredible experience. Yeah. I remember you showed us the house where you grew up in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that is a big part of my story actually, because I think a couple years prior to, when you and the family went with me, I took my kids there. And they're like, we're gonna go see where Dad grew up. This is gonna be fun. My dad. So they're going up and the funniest thing about that part of the story is that when we got there, you can throw a needle down the floor, you can hear the sound of it.
Wow.
That's how quiet it got.
Wow.
Because when they saw that, my oldest, Adrian, he's like, Dad, did you really live there? And I'm like, yeah, that's where your dad comes from. You can see in their eyes the fact that they truly didn't understand how they have what they have today, but then again they saw where their dad came from.
Yeah,
that was a big impact. And that taught them something, because you can literally feel the energy of the children looking at you like, I can't believe my dad really went through this,
Right.
But and my words to them on that day was, this is the reason why you have and you are where you are, because someone that loves you never gave up. And this is where I came from. So that was a big impact for my kids. And that's a big part of my journey, because it's all about family.
Yeah, it is all about family. Love it. I love it. How many kids? You have 2?
We have 4 kids.
4 kids total.
We have an 8-year-old.
Yes.
That's about to be 9. We have a 10-year-old.
Yes.
We have an 11-year-old. And I have a 16-year-old princess that thinks she's a diva, and we gotta.
My 6-year-old says the same thing.
Yeah, we gotta control them. They're a different animal, right? Because you got 3 boys, and then you have a teen girl that's beautiful girl, so it's a problem. But then again, it's a blessing. But we have 4 of them.
Beautiful. So Puerto Rico, then Chicago until you were how old, roughly?
I was there till I was about 25.
25.
Yeah, and the interesting part about Chicago was that, when you're a mountain boy, right, and then you go to the city, it's like a big culture shock.
Yeah.
Because I remember arriving. I'm 8 years old, and we're arriving there, and we're arriving at nighttime. So, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never seen so many lights in one place at the same time. This is a big city.
Yeah.
So it was a big culture shock for me, but life really changed for me when I was 13. That's when life really hit me, and a whole big thing happened that was the intricate part of my success. Was that moment when I was 13.
Wow. Which?
You want to know what it was?
Yes. Which? We're all silence. Which is 13 years old.
So when I was 13, and this is important for everyone that's listening to us, right? Because I'm sure that everyone's journey is different, but the process of the journey is what really defines us. And when I was 13, my oldest brother is 2 years older than me. And then I am 7 years older than my youngest brother from my mom's side.
Okay.
From my father's side, whom I met when I was 21. So he didn't raise us.
Right.
And I'm 46 years old today, and I've probably seen him, 7 times my whole life, right? After the age of 21. When I was 13, that's when really life hit me. I went from being a kid to having to become a man overnight. And what happened was that one day my oldest brother shows up like at 10 o'clock at night with his 14-year-old girl, pregnant of 6 months, that was kicked out of her house because she couldn't hide the baby anymore.
Wow.
So here you have a 15-year-old and you have a 14-year-old about to have a baby. I said, my mother's going to kill this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is over. You know what I mean? So my mother arrived a little bit past 11 o'clock.
So you knew before your mom got there?
Yeah, she wasn't even there. It was horrible.
Oh, my God.
So I'm like, oh, my gosh, my mother's going to kill this guy, right? So my mother shows up, and, she saw what happened, and my brother told her what was going on, and she just breaks down crying. Wow. She just starts weeping. And she starts asking us to forgive her. Wow. And, here I am, 13 years old. I'm thinking she's going to pull out the chancleta and slap on the chancleta, slamming them. And she just started asking us to forgive her because she was working 2 jobs plus going to night school to try to provide for us. And sometimes it would be 2-3 days and we would not even see her because we're being raised by the streets. Yeah. So she felt guilty about the fact that she wasn't able to be a mother because she had to be a provider and a mother as well. Yeah. And that day, I stopped being a child. I said, I am going to take my mother out of poverty. I'm going to take my family out of poverty. And this is just, it has to happen. And I stopped being a kid. And I remember that being a big part of my life because still today, that has a mark in my spirit, in my heart. And that mark has helped me trailblaze through some of the most challenging things that has ever happened to me in my life. And by the time I was 19 years old, I had became a very, very good contracting guy without being a contractor. I learned everything that had to do with construction. From how to do framing, electrical, plumbing, you name it, I did it all. Yeah. Because I had an uncle that after I would come out of school, he would take me with him to the construction sites, and he used to give me $30 out of his paycheck for me to go work with him. And he started to teach me everything. So when I was 19, I had saved up $5,200. Oh, wow. And I went and got my general contractor license at that age. I was about to be 20 years old. Fast forward to 25, I had to become a self-made millionaire at 25 as one of the youngest general contractors in the state of Illinois. Building a pretty significant wealth, multiple 7 figures, and it was that instant when I was 13 that changed my life.
That's insane. Yeah, that's insane.
Pretty crazy stuff.
And those are the things. And we're going to talk about fast forward now to today, what the journey. But at 25, self-made millionaire, you're building what, multifamilies, residential or commercial, everything.
Yeah. Well, at that point, I remember I think one of the biggest projects that I did in construction, I was 23 years old, and we were doing full development homes, tract homes. It's it was a lot easier, and it's even more easier now because there's just so many more fast track tools, right?
Yeah.
But we were doing probably about maybe 50 to 100 homes every 90 days.
Wow.
Doing developments, so I put together a system to be able to fast track through homes based on time frames. Because I've always been a big fan of systems. Like if you don't have your systems together, you will not succeed.
Yeah.
And, that's, we were doing very well. And it's just part of passion, right? It wasn't so much the construction. It was that I saw a way out through construction.
Yeah.
And I became passionate about it because I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm sleeping and making money. I'm not even going to job sites anymore.
Yeah.
But it was the fact that I built a system that worked.
That's beautiful. Now, at 13, when that moment hit, what was the first entrepreneur thing that you did?
Oh, you're going to laugh at this one. I think,
yes.
So I was 15. I remember like yesterday.
Yeah.
My uncle took me to Salvation Army.
Uh-huh.
And I bought a little container full of broken VCRs.
Okay.
Remember the VHS, the VCRs?
Yeah.
So these VCRs, I always had this imagination. How can you see through that? And how does this box make that thing spin?
Yeah.
So I always wondered what was inside of the VCRs.
Yeah.
So I bought that little container. It cost me $80. And it had a whole bunch of broken VCRs, right? And then I invented a tattoo machine out of a VCR motor.
A tattoo machine?
Yes. So you know that the VCR motors have, well, I don't know if you know, but they have two little motors that will spin the tape, right?
Uh-huh.
So I grabbed those two little motors and I built a tattoo machine out of that motor with a battery with a switch, a regular 9-volt battery with a switch, and then the pins from your, pin shirts, the buttons from your, then you got 4 holes. So that was the spinner, and then I had a bobby pin that created like an L shape, so it can go in and out. And then I grabbed the big pen. I don't know if you guys ever remember the big pens, the white ones, the blue tips, or the red tips.
Oh, they have the different. Yeah. I used to have those.
The big pen, right?
Yeah.
So I used the tube. And the tip of it, I will melt it a little bit to have a little bit of a smaller tip. And then I will put the needles to the bobby pin and it will go in and out to suck the needle in and out. And that's how I created my first tattoo machine. And I used to sell them for $60, right? So that's how I became an entrepreneur. Actually, this tattoo that I have right here was the first tattoo I ever did on myself.
Oh,
and then this right here that I have here, this was me practicing with my machines. So I used to tell people, look, they work. And I'm over here tattooing on myself. Right? So that's why this one's there. This is my life story. So, it's there and it will always stay there. That's why it looks funky. You know what I mean? But it works, right? It worked for me.
So $60 a pop.
$60 a pop. A little tattoo machine. I'm surprised I never patented it, right?
Exactly. Tattoo machines. Well, that's super creative. And then building all the way up to 19, get your general contractor's license, all the way through to becoming a self-millionaire. So that was the start of your entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah.
And so today, I can't even count anymore. How many businesses are you involved in right now that you're managing? And then we'll get into obviously what's on your shirt. But
yeah. So I currently own 14 companies.
Okay.
That I am partners of. Mm-hmm. And throughout the years, I understood what it was and how important it was to actually participate in people's visions, right? Mm-hmm. And helping people's visions be fulfilled. Mm-hmm. Because as a child growing up, understanding that I had to push through everything by myself and not having mentorship. Mm-hmm. A lot of the things that I have today could have potentially even been fast-tracked if I was... if I had mentorship, right? So with these 14 companies, I'm more of a angel investor / venture capitalist. But the most important company that I have right now that I've been working on since 2018 is the first philanthropy ecosystem on the blockchain called Philcoin and PhilApp. And what I did, I grabbed all my knowledge of technology and understanding of what it is to find a niche without reinventing the wheel.
Right.
And use the niche to enhance the opportunities of things that people are already having experiences with. And in 2018, when I understood that philanthropy was never before done peer-to-peer, and that giving is one of the most important elements of humanity, just for social awareness and even mental awareness and social impact, I said, I got to find a way to change the way giving happens around the world.
Yeah.
And today, we've been blessed to have built the first ever blockchain ecosystem that rewards everyone for giving back. So it's like the coolest thing in the world. Today's a $200 million company. And we're about to ramp up to be $1 billion brand by the end of 2025.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so in simple terms, because I mean, we got a lot of viewers that have never dipped into blockchain, cryptocurrency, and all that. A quick kind of like summary recap of what that means to somebody that has never even thought about, or anything cryptocurrency. We hear Bitcoin, we hear all this other, Cardano, all that stuff. So for someone that doesn't know it, in simple terms, what does that mean for them?
Well, think of it this way. We just finished trademarking. You can look it up. It's called Phil which is the first ever philanthropy app in the world to be trademarked in the United States that tracks people's time in computer softwares.
Wow.
That allows the person now to be rewarded by tokenization, which means tokens like Bitcoin, Ethereum, in this case is Philcoin, for their time spent on the internet. Oh, wow. So what did I do? I said, well, what is the number one thing that everyone does that they don't get rewarded for? Being on social media.
Yeah.
So since 2018, I did a deep dive in the area of technology, because in 2015, when I got involved in Bitcoin, when it was still a little bit over $200, I said, there's something special about this thing called Bitcoin and the technology behind it called blockchain, that it's really going to be important for the future. So fast tracked into 2018 after, at that point, we've managed to make an impact in the 8 figures. I said, the way to change the way giving happens is not reinventing the social wheel, it's enhancing it. So I looked through Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and I saw everything that they all had in common. And the one thing that they had in common is that they were all getting rich off of people's data.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you know what I mean? So I started researching how much are they really giving back to humanity? Yeah. And I said, well, this is not good. Yeah. There's over $200 billion a year. These major social media platforms are generating an income a year. Yeah. And you know what the worst part is? 7 to 8% maximum is going back to content creators. Guess how much is going back to the average user? Zero. So I said, so this is the niche. I'm going to create a philanthropy app that does everything that they're doing from a social media perspective. Yeah. I am going to do everything that they're doing. But then I'm going to add a Web3 blockchain mechanism that rewards them for spending time that they're already spending. So at the end of the month, they're being rewarded with a monetization strategy called Philcoin that allows them to have extra income for being on social media. And that's what I did. So I created that Web3 ecosystem that goes in the inside of a Web2 system. So now the Web2 system will continue to generate money through advertising, data, and all that stuff. But now the end user can earn an extra 30, 40, 50 bucks a month, depending on what part you are in the world. Yeah. And you can utilize that to buy goods and services right out of the marketplace, because it's digital money. It's the future of money. Yeah. And that is the value generator of our ecosystem called the Phil app, that right now in these next 6 months the world is going to know the impact it's going to create. And this is actually the first interview about this that I'm talking about. So, because not a lot of people know what's going on.
It's going to go viral. It's going to go viral.
It's going to be big.
It's going to be big. That's incredible. And it's, when, we met years ago, I had delved a little bit into it, but once I understood the way you explained it to me, it is the future. It is the future. I mean, decentralized blockchain, all that good stuff. I mean, we were talking about a gentleman who's got millions of dollars locked up, and we don't know when it's coming out. You know what I mean?
That's right.
In the bank.
That's right.
It's his hard, well-earned money, and we don't know when it's coming out.
That's
and
right.
all he did was a transfer. You know what I mean? So this is big for definitely for the future. And I think anybody who has not looked into it should have a little piece of it. I think they should.
I agree. Yeah, I agree 100%. I think that, knowledge is power. Mm-hmm. And I always tell people, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
You should always be seeking to grow. Mm-hmm. And you're certainly a reflection of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So ultimately, tell me who you're with, and I will tell you how far you're going to go. And, it's people like yourself, like your lovely wife, Gia, and the team, you guys have a set vision. So whoever taps into that will have access to where you're headed.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm a big believer that, even me with my brand, right? My main brand, which is the Philanthropy app, I'm only as good as the people that support it.
Yeah.
Or I'm only as good as the people who adopt it, right? So how can I share a message when I'm trailblazing something that people don't understand?
Yeah.
Perfect example is Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Perfect example is Bill Gates. Perfect example is anyone that has had to build, like Jeff Bezos did, for example.
Yeah.
Took him 10 years to make positive.
Yeah.
Took him 9 years to break even. Mm-hmm. So how do you know if something is really going to win? It's got to be a niche. Mm-hmm. And it has to be unique. Because if it's not unique and you're one more of a bunch, then you need to find a strategy for you to be unique enough to be able to build and grow. Mm-hmm. Perfect example is Uber.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that someone one day was going to think, oh my gosh, there's something, there's 4 cars here. We should use those cars to do something with them.
Kill the taxi industry.
Yeah, 100%. Destroyed them. But again, it's innovation. And right now we're walking into the Web3 innovation where artificial intelligence can potentially replace, millions of jobs around the world.
Yeah.
So how are you preparing for that? How are you making an impact to be part of that innovation and not be a cause of the innovation?
No, and innovation is very important. Yeah. Talking about, AI and all that stuff, they're saying by 2030, everybody's going to have a robot in their house.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, 200%.
Yeah. 200.
Yeah. I always change it up every time somebody comes on. But yeah, robot in your house by 2030, meaning that some jobs are going to be replaced.
Yeah.
They're going to, some of these old school jobs, et cetera, is going to get replaced by a robot, by artificial intelligence. So having that niche on, as an entrepreneur is very important. And talking about 2023, I think it was a very interesting year for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And everything, right? In blockchain and real estate and everything. As an entrepreneur, what is something that you have used, or what can you give advice on how to, weather those changing economies, weather those changing times in business? What is the best thing to do?
Well, to start off, I'm a big believer in leveraging debt.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't believe in debt, right? Yeah. And I respect that.
Yeah.
But the principles of Robert Kiyosaki are very meaningful to me in a lot of ways. And leveraging your debt is important because there's good debt, right?
Yeah.
Like real estate. Mm-hmm. That's not bad debt. That's good debt, right? Because it builds a structural value. And I'm also a big believer in understanding the value of multiple streams of income, right? Yeah. I always tell people, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Make sure you understand that you have to break down the 100% of the income into 3 to 4 different strategies of financial output So if one doesn't work, the other one leverages the other.
Correct.
So, I tell people, build a solid foundation of debt, that debt builds you enough residual to pay for itself. And then the residual of that reinvested in other outputs that will generate another type of source of income. So if that one that you have isn't flowing for you, you have something else to replace it with.
Yeah.
So that's, the number one thing, hence the reason why I own 14 different companies right now, right? It's just perfect example right now. Philcoin draws out for me $300,000 a month.
Yeah.
But I have other sources of income that subside the downside because I have other investments like car dealerships, medical companies and so on and so forth, right? So you have to understand that if you're an entrepreneur, you can't have your eggs all in one basket.
Yeah, that's the truth. And your diversification of a portfolio is amazing. So you have an AC company, dealership, a little medical. We've napped into real estate a little bit into it as well. So diversification is very important when it comes to that. So I totally agree. And anybody starting in an entrepreneurship journey right now, we talk to a lot of young entrepreneurs that are starting their 20s, early 20s. What is really good advice right now for somebody that's just starting out in business?
Don't spend what you're not willing to lose.
Love it.
Because at the end of the day, you got to go in thinking, you know what I mean? I'm going to do this because I believe I can. Yeah. And it's not going to break me if I don't make it. Yeah. A lot of the people are not, their optimism is great, but they have to be realistic with their expectations of what they can accomplish, right? Anyone could want to be a jet pilot. Yeah. But are you okay with being in, a -0 environment and not pass out in a jet, right? So you have to train for it, right? That doesn't mean you're going to be great at it. Yeah. So I always tell people, always go in knowing that if it doesn't work out, you're not going to go and, do something radical and go to the other planet because it didn't work out for you. So be ready to lose what you're going to invest until you find people to buy into your vision. Right. You got to be willing to do that. That's the best advice I can give someone, because if you're not willing to lose it, don't try it.
Don't try it. Yeah.
That's just it. That's entrepreneurship. Yeah. I can tell you how much millions of dollars I've lost betting on the wrong horses. Right. I've had businesses that I've lost millions of dollars on, because I'm betting on the wrong people. Yeah. Right. So at the end of the day, it's don't put out there what you're not willing to lose.
That's it. Hey, you heard it here. Absolutely. And out of all the businesses you have, which is the most satisfying right now?
I think the most satisfying, that's a very good question, actually. Yeah. All of them has an integral part in my existence, right? I think the most satisfying one right now, not because it's my biggest company. Yeah. Again, this is just personal opinion for me. Out of all the 14, I think I would have to say Philcoin, because I know what the journey is going to do. Yeah. Right. If there's 8 billion people on planet Earth. Yeah. If I can change the economy of 1 billion people by putting an extra $50, $60 in their pocket when their average income is $200 a month. Yeah. That's 30%. That's a 30% increment in the income. Yeah. Just because I'm doing something that everyone else that's been doing it is not, which is putting the people first. Yeah. Because a lot of people don't understand that they're the product. Yeah. It's not the apps. It's them. People are the product. Yeah. And I've learned that quite. Yeah. It's a little bit disturbing, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? To understand that we're the product and people don't get it. Yeah. Right? But I'm going to change that. And I'm most satisfied about that because I know that when that impact happens, being able to see a family thrive because now they can afford to have a washer and dryer in their home because they have an extra $30 a month, or I can put a well now in my farm because 100 people in my farm are using the Phil app and they're earning. So now we can afford to do a well. Yeah. That is satisfying to me.
That's beautiful.
That's changing the way giving happens.
Absolutely. And hopefully we see those stories come up. I mean, we're already seeing a lot of people's changed life through the Phil coin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been part of the journey since it started, and it's all patience, patience. Yeah. In some business, you got to have patience.
It's a virtue. It's a virtue.
Absolutely. And how is patience important in business for people that want microwavable results?
If you expect microwave results, you're going to toast in an oven.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because, it's you can't. I tell people, guys, at the end of the day, success, just look at history.
Yeah.
Numbers don't lie. People do. Yeah. It's impossible unless what your job or what you're looking forward to is to rob someone, right?
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? And then you're going to get caught anyway. So don't do it.
Don't do
right?
it. Yeah.
But, that mentality of, I want to get rich in a year.
Yeah.
That's why 99% of companies fail.
Yeah.
Right? Because they think, it's going to happen overnight. I tell people it's going to take at least 3 years to see something through correctly.
Yeah.
And it'll take you 7 years to at least see a culture being built around it strong enough to make it an impact for a decade. You can't not think that way. Like right now, I have my strategies set all the way to 2035. Mm-hmm. Oh, Jerry, but how can you have that set up that way? Years. What? If I don't know where I want to be 10 years from now, then I don't understand the reason why I started the journey to begin with.
Yeah.
So I have to have an end goal. And with that end goal in mind, what am I doing today? What do I need to do next year? What do I need to do year after that? Mm-hmm. But I got to prep financially to do that. Mm-hmm. Another example I told someone the other day was they asked me, how much money you have invested in your project? And I said, $31 million. Yeah. Like, oh my God, that's a lot of money. And I said, well, it's not a lot of money to me. But they're like, what do you mean it's not a lot of money to me? Well, it's very simple. Yeah. There's 8 billion people on planet Earth.
Yeah.
If 100 million people adopt what I'm doing, that 31 million is turned into 30 billion.
Yeah.
The thing about it is you got to think big.
Yeah.
And you can't be afraid of spending.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't be afraid of it.
Yeah. Bet on yourself. I mean, that's really what it is.
Yeah. If you don't believe enough that you can do it, then why should I?
Yeah, exactly.
It's perspective. It's all perspective of entrepreneurship. I've seen how much you guys have grown in these past 4 or 5 years. You guys done a lot. It's been a blessing after blessing after blessing after blessing. And, sometimes we think that we're in a down when what we're really doing is being prepared to be pushed up. Yeah. Because an arrow cannot go far unless it's pulled back.
Yeah, it's true.
It's the philosophy of the bow and arrow.
Yeah.
You can't, the farther you get stretched, the farther it's going to go.
Yeah, it's true.
Just be ready not to break.
Yeah, not to break.
Because if that rope breaks, it's going to hurt.
It is.
So you just got to be ready for all that.
And I love it. And faith, obviously, we're big, believers in faith. How has faith, what is that position that takes in all your businesses?
It's all of it.
It's all of it.
Yeah. I don't operate if it's not faith-based, right? Mm-hmm. I'm been a Christian 27 years of my life. Been in Christianity all my life, but, operating in the movement of the gospel and all that stuff, it's been 27 years. And that part of my life is very intricate and very important because what I do in that part of my life is I mentor ministers around the world. Mm-hmm. And that is also a big balance for me, right? Yeah. And I don't consider that a business. I consider that part of my life. It's my lifestyle, right? So when people ask me, how does that play a role? I say it doesn't play a role. It is the role.
Yeah.
Because without that, who I am today and the stories that I'm sharing to you, I would not be able to do that if it wasn't because of that.
Yeah.
So it's instrumental for people to understand, regardless of your belief system, you got to be tied to something greater than yourself. Mm-hmm. Because this life is not a one-man show.
Yeah.
Life is about always having dependency on something bigger and greater than you that holds you accountable. Yeah. And that's how life works.
That's it.
Life works.
Put it into one. I made it a point to myself to make God my business partner in everything I do.
That's it.
We discuss together, we do everything together, and we've seen the blessings. I mean, in the last, I would say, year. And with tough economy, tough everything, you got to do it. I mean, that's the only thing to make things happen.
Yeah, I always tell people, put yourself in the situation of every person in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
You and I have an advantage over that. And you know what that is? That we have their story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And their story helps us build our own future based on past experiences. Their stories help us create new stories with strong principles.
Yeah.
So when we look at ourselves, we say, how can we make the story greater with the principles of someone's past?
Yeah.
And that's how we build success. We build success by learning the goodness of our peers and our ancestors and applying ourselves to be a better version of them. Because at the end of the day, they are our floor of success. And we have to be the ones building success on their integrity and on their knowledge base. So when we do that, we become incubators of success for others to follow.
Yeah.
So we have to set the bar higher every single time so that when our children stand front facing the stage, they can say, I am here because of.
Yeah.
So we are here because someone sacrificed for us.
Yeah.
We are here because someone decided to do something for us. And our faith and our favor that we get from God is because we chose to follow.
Free will. You get to choose.
Choices are everything.
I love it. And one of the things that you taught me just recently was to just read the whole entire book of Proverbs.
That's right.
That was the best for entrepreneurs and whoever's listening to this. You got the Bible app in your phone or you have it, grab it. And regardless of what your leads are, it'll tell you exactly everything to do in business. It was incredible. We read one chapter a day, just like you told us, and we were done in a month. And it was incredible.
What did you learn from that? I'm just curious.
It talks about, being, truthful with everything you do. Quick money gains will fall faster, flat versus, money earned with time and in honesty. It's going to last you forever, bringing knowledge, giving knowledge to people, giving not only, monetarily to the people that are around you, but actually giving knowledge, giving your time, sowing into somebody that's around you. I mean, that's what we practice all the time, building people around us. So, but yeah, it just, brings a whole different perspective and everything.
Doesn't that remind you of this podcast?
Yeah. That's what it is. I mean,
it's all about the story.
It's all about the story. And for us to be able to reach whoever we reach, whoever watches this, and just put a smile on somebody's face and say, you know what? I needed this today. Yeah. And we've gotten those types of stories all the time. And I think very powerful that you're here to be able to share, your story. I think it's beautiful.
I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
Become more than 200%.
Yeah, that's it.
That'd be great, right?
Yeah.
And just a quick last advice to the viewers before we head out. I don't know how much more time we have here.
I got more questions. Okay. Go ahead.
But no, I want to at least save this one for last. Give me the other questions. I got a few last things for the viewers.
I love it. So we have a big part of my following is gentlemen, young entrepreneurs, which I've been, fortunate enough to talk to a lot of them, mentor them even through DM. I have, people in Nigeria, people in Europe, South America, just looking for just being better than they are. So let's start with defining them. What is a gentleman in your opinion?
A gentleman, in my opinion, is someone who understands where they're headed, that understands who they are, and understands what they were called to do. Because you knowing who you are and knowing who you're called to be is two totally different things.
Yeah.
Right? Being called for something and knowing who you are, to me, are the two most important pieces of that puzzle, simply because, you can't never give what you don't have.
Yeah.
And as men, sometimes we go out of our way to give so much that we don't give to ourselves.
Yeah. Is this true? Yeah.
And we have to learn to be selfish with ourselves, because in order for me to give you what you need, I have to be able to have what you need.
Correct.
So I can't spread myself thin, try to give you something that I don't have simply to make good with someone. So you really have to know yourself enough to understand where you're headed, and you really have to be grounded to the place of understanding that you need to build you, to give to others.
So
you got to do that.
Yeah. You got to help yourself before you can help somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you ask me for $10 and I don't have them,
yeah,
I can be hopeful and go get them for you, but is that helping you? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of the day, you know what I mean? I can't do it for you.
Yeah. No, that's the truth. What is an issue that entrepreneur men are facing right now that nobody talks about?
You know what? Sure you want to talk about that?
Hey, let's do it. Yeah.
Okay, so I think the biggest issue that men have with themselves is depression.
Okay.
Men are depressed internally, silently, because of the previous question. They go through this process, and part of my journey, so everyone knows, I got my doctorate in psychology. So, this is not out of a shotgun thing, right? We skipped that part of the journey when we're talking about between 20 and 32. I finished my master's. I have a master's in 9 different religions, and my doctorate is in Christian counseling. So I'm not talking out of, just pure life experience, right? I'm talking about, data.
Yeah,
and
data.
Most of the issues that men have is depression, and they try to funnel that depression by overworking. They try to funnel that depression by overdoing, overthinking.
Yeah.
And some of them just escape in that to not face themselves with the problem.
Yeah.
Because their ego or their pride is too big to speak up.
Yeah.
Right? So, the men need to understand that it's okay to cry. It's okay to share your feelings. It's okay to share your problems. Because the problem with entrepreneurs they're entrepreneur for a reason. Because they believe they can do it by themselves. But they believe they can do something greater than working for someone else. And the challenge with dealing with people who are like that is their pride.
Yeah.
And 99.9% of it is because internally they're going through a trauma that is keeping them in a stage of depression silently that doesn't allow them to succeed in life.
Yeah. No,
that's a big problem.
Yeah. And we should talk more about that.
100%.
Everybody should have conversations. And if you're facing any of these things that Jerry's talking about, talk to somebody, because, you cannot go in alone at all.
No. Yeah. You know what? Unfortunately, we had I got a call the other day, one of my good friends, Roy Jones Jr., his son committed suicide, and, that was one of his closest son. And a couple hours before that, he was just talking to his son, and I wrote to him and I said, Roy, man, I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? But again, could have, would have, should have, right?
Yeah.
What could we have done? What can we do? What can, and, my advice to people is you got to understand that it's okay to talk about what you are going through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just don't think that because you think your business is failing, that you're a failure to your family or the people around you. You just got to man up and speak up.
Yeah.
Because being a man is speaking up.
Yeah.
It's not hiding behind the shop.
Yeah. No, that's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speak. So I'm glad we talked about this. This is very important. A lot of people now don't talk about it.
They have to.
They have to.
Me personally, I have my mentors, I have my spiritual mentors, I have my business mentors, and trust me, they get an earful. You know what I mean? 'Cause, you know what I mean? Only because I'm piloting a ship, that doesn't mean that I'm a captain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm a captain in my home. I'm a captain in my Eden.
Yeah.
But I also have people hold me accountable.
Yeah, you have to. You know, I have my group.
Yeah.
I'm blessed to say that you're part of that that group. And I've been through coaches throughout the time, because not only, you know, do we want to get better, we have more knowledge, but you got to have somebody accountable. You know, where you go to the gym by yourself and maybe your results are not as good as if when you hire a trainer, because they're pushing you every single day to do so. So I think that's very, very important, accountable, and
silent depression.
Silent depression. So that's a topic that we have to talk about. Absolutely. Yeah. So definitely, if you're facing that, we encourage you to find and seek help and talk to somebody. You know,
agree.
You know, 100%. And some of these men are obviously married, so talk to your spouse. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely.
And adding to that spouse part, most of the time, that's the least people that's the least person that they want to speak to, because they don't want to burden their spouses with their situation, and because then it becomes a catch-22, because now the spouse is looking at you differently.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
You know, you got to watch out who you share it with.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Very important. Who do you, this is my last question, then we'll end up with you. Take us home, okay? But what do you want the world to remember Jerry Lopez for?
Philanthropy. Giving back, changing the way giving happens. I want the world to remember me by the guy that created the ecosystem where everyone won. You know, as I did the deep dive on social media and the future where AI, Web3, the innovation of robotics is coming, people are going to lose sight of themselves. Yeah. Because they're not going to do the things that at least now they're doing as people. Mm-hmm. They're certainly not doing when we were growing up. Yeah. Because technology wasn't so advanced. You know, and I remember as a kid playing, when there was blackouts and, you just playing with little cars in the grass, and that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. So the social touch, the cultural warmth of humanity is being lost because of technology. And technology is the tool. It shouldn't be the source or the force. Yeah. And if I can make an impact in that area where I can bring people together through social media, through the era of innovation and technology, and create a sovereign play, a sovereignty where people do not lose that and gain for doing it, that's what I want to be remembered at. The guide who made philanthropy peer-to-peer. That's what I want to be.
Love it. Take us home, Jerry. What do you want to share with the viewers?
Well, when you invited me to the podcast, I said, what are the things that what is the one thing that I feel in my heart and in my spirit that people should know? And you touched a lot on those things. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions was silence. Yeah. And the silence of depression was an answer to one of the biggest questions about entrepreneur men. Yeah. You are not alone. Mm-hmm. You have to speak up in order to grow up. You can't become great without having accountability. Mm-hmm. And you cannot be successful thinking that money is the answer. Mm-hmm. Because money is worthless. And I'm going to prove it to you before we leave. If there's $1 million here, there's $1 million on the table. That right there is $1 million. I don't have it. You don't have it. No one in this room has it. No one in this audience has it. It's just $1 million sitting on the table. But the moment I grab that $1 million and I make one transaction with it, I gave that transaction of that money its value. Mm-hmm. So you know what money is? It's just an amplifier. Mm-hmm. It amplifies who you are. If you're a good person, you're a good person with money. Mm-hmm. If you're a bad person, you're a bad person with money. Money is just an amplifier of the desires of your heart. The moment you stop worrying about it and start implementing the reason why you want to do certain things for your life, you will attract money, because money just becomes the tool of engagement, not the source of wealth. Because being rich and being wealthy is the catch-22 of what money is, because money is just a tool. Yeah. And if you have enough of it and you use it with the right purposes, the universe has to align to you, because there's goodness when you do goodness. Mm-hmm. It's called karma. If you do something bad, it's going to come back. Yeah. Whether you're Christian, whether you're Buddhist, whether you're any religion, whether you're an atheist and you believe in the stars and the planet and the Big Bang, it's okay. At the end of the day, believe what you want to believe. But there's one thing that I know for certain. Money is an instrument. It's not a god. It's just a tool. So use it wisely if you want to succeed. And the third thing is that faith without works is dead. Mm-hmm. You can sit around and think that you can become anything that you want, but no one's going to stand up to do it for you. You have to get up and run with a vision. Find the right people to run with you. And along the way, the journey becomes great. Because once you get there, everything that you work hard for, the one thing that you're going to remember were your hard times. Yeah. You're not going to think about the good times. When you make it to the end of the journey, you're going to look at yourself and you're going to say, remember when I went through this. Remember when I went through that. Remember when this happened to me. Because people think that bad times are bad times. And you know what? Like I tell my boys, you never lose. Yeah. You're just learning how to win. Yeah. And that's all how life is. You never lose. You're just learning how to win.
I love it.
That's it.
That's it. You heard it, guys. Jerry Lopez, again, powerful. I think, we've been here for about 50 minutes. I think this has been probably one of the most powerful episodes we've had, and I hope you took something from it. And comment below whatever you loved about this episode. Write it below. We can find you through all the channels, right?
Instagram, Jerry Lopez Gives. Find me there. That's where I'm at the most. Jerry Lopez Gives on Instagram. And
also follow Phil Coin and the journey. And if you want to know more about it, I'm sure you can find it through the Instagram pages. But definitely do get involved. Philanthropy is going to be completely different, and you're going to know why. So thank you guys for watching. Again, see you on the next episode of the 200% Live podcast. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, like, and see you on the next one.
Let's go.